We're living for the moment now, we're one with the world. I can't lose this feeling I get. My heart's in the right place, and so is my soul, yeah. I won't take no excuses for it. I want it, love it, need it, live it. I feel like something's missing when I do not have it. I feel it in my bones, gotta find my space. These emotions on my face, taking a toll, I gotta pay it forward. I'll give it all that I can. No matter what, I won't let up. It's in my soul, it's in my blood, and I won't take no for an answer. If it don't hurt me, it makes me stronger. Yeah, no what, I won't let up. It's in my soul, it's in my blood, and I won't take it no more. I won't be there. Just leave it to me. I know what I need. You'll find if you see. And if you believe, you live and you breathe, you'll find the key. Lifting me, lifting you. Can't go alone, let's do by two. Doing this together, it's me by you. All through the night, all through the night. This is me, this is you. When we get together, we can all pull through. I don't ever ever wanna stop this groove. Let's get it right. Take it to the Lord, then take it to the grave. Listen to the wise man, tell me what he say. Listen to your heartbeat like it still bleed. A little bit of hope, yeah, it's what we still need. Say a little prayer for the moment. Give what you got, just go in. Can't hold you back if you own it. Live your life like you're chosen. No matter what, I won't let up. It's in my soul, it's in my blood, and I won't take no for an answer. If it don't hurt me, it makes me stronger. You know what, I won't let up. It's in my soul, it's in my blood, and I won't take it no more. I won't be there. Just leave it to me. I know what I need. You'll find if you see. And if you believe, you live and you breathe, you'll find the key. Know what I need, I know what I need. To find the keys, the key.
Chasing love in an empty bar. Pour a drink till I make it past. The midnight hour seems to come and go, but I know. Walk on up with a drink in hand, sipping mixers cause you can. And all the lights begin to switch off. You're chasing the light, holding on for life. Holding on for life, feeding the high, chasing the night, chasing the night. Hotel rooms and city squares, champagne bottles, drum and snare. The sights and cities seem to fall away when you stay. Locked in love for a night or two, losing sleep just to get a few. Day to day you wanna stay out, you're chasing the light, holding on for life, feeling the high, chasing the light, chasing the night, chasing the night, chasing the night, holding on for life, feeling the high, chasing the night, chasing the night.
We're living for the moment now, we're one with the world. I can't lose this feeling I get. My heart's in the right place, and so is my soul, yeah. I won't take no excuses for it. Love it, need it, live it. I feel like something's missing when I do not have it. I feel it in my bones, gotta find my space. These emotions on my face, taking a toll, I gotta pay it forward. I'll give it all that I can. No matter what, I won't let up. It's in my soul, it's in my blood, and I won't take no for an answer. If it don't hurt me, it makes me stronger. Yeah, what I won't let up. It's in my soul, it's in my blood, and I won't take it no more. I won't be there. Just leave it to me. I know what I need. You'll find if you see. And if you believe, you live and you breathe, you'll find the key. Lifting me, lifting you. Can't go alone, let's do by two. Doing this together, it's me by you. All through the night, all through the night. This is me, this is you. When we get together, we can all pull through. I don't ever wanna stop this groove. Let's get it right. Take it to the Lord, then take it to the grave. Listen to the wise man, tell me what to say. Listen to your heartbeat like it still bleed. A little bit of hope, yes, what we still need. Say a little prayer for the moment. Give what you got, just go in. Can't hold you back if you own it. Live your life like you're chosen. No matter what, I won't let up. It's in my soul, it's in my blood, and I won't take no for an answer. If it don't hurt me, it makes me stronger. Yeah, what I won't let up. It's in my soul, it's in my blood, and I won't take it no more. I won't be there. Just leave it to me. I know what I need. You'll find if you see. And if you believe, you live and you breathe, you'll find the key. Know what I need, I know what I need.
Chasing love in an empty bar. Pour a drink till I make it past. The midnight hour seems to come and go, but I know. Walk on up with a drink in hand, sipping mixes cause you can. And all the lights begin to switch off. You're chasing the light, holding on for life, feeling the high. Chasing the light, chasing the night, chasing the night, chasing the night, holding on for holding on for life, feet in the high, chasing the night, chasing the night.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to RCI TV for the final round of the Intercontinental Sprint Championship. My name is Ryan Gill. I'm going to be your broadcaster and lead commentator for tonight. And joining me for the very last time in this championship is all the way from the land of the Americas, it's Jesse Lee.
Whew, you said for the very last time. That scared me. I thought I was getting canned over here. Hello, everybody, and welcome. RCI TV, proud to be with Mr. Ryan Gill and you lot as well here at the world-famous Suzuka Raceway, and this is going to be a fantastic race. We've got a championship to decide, Ryan, and we've got two people that can win it. And just earlier, it looked like it was going all the way of one driver, but I have been recently silenced.
Yeah, in the pre-race build-up to all of this, you were talking some smack, weren't you, Jesse Lee? You said,
Yeah.
Jaroslav Honzik's got it in the bag. I don't think Tinko van der Velde's going to have any pace today to put on a challenge. And, well, he's just gone and put his car fourth before we went live. So, I have to say, Jesse, I think Tinko's coming for you.
Yeah, it's very much a foot-in-mouth situation by me. You have to understand where I was coming from. Tinko van der Velde was down in 20-somethingth place. He was 2.5 seconds off of then leading Jardier at the time. Of course, that's very much changed. Macaulay set a couple of really fast laps and had a couple of really spectacular incidents intermittently as well. But Zaire Essa has destroyed fast lap around here, nearly 9/10 to the good. And of course, this is just practice, but looking good for some of these guys in points battles late in the season. And for our championship, for them to be third and fourth respectively, anything's possible here. Anything can happen. We might just walk out here with a surprise winner.
Yeah, Jaroslav Honzik is the championship leader at the moment, 8 points from the likes of Tinko van der Velde. They are the championship protagonists, and anyone who was here for the Monday stream, the GT4 championship, which wrapped up on Monday night, well, you'll know that the two protagonists from the GT4 championship were Tinko van der Velde and Jaroslav Honzik.
So you're saying they know each other?
I'm saying they've got a fair bit of experience between the two of them. And, well, it's going to all come down to the wire here at Suzuka. And I can't wait for this to get started. We have 3 minutes of free practice remaining. Zahir Essa definitely at the top of the timing boards at the moment. He'll have been doing some qualifying practice by the looks of it. Quite a few of the others on race trim at the moment, carrying high levels of fuel just to see how the car behaves. And 31 degrees track temperature here at the moment in Suzuka. It's a lovely day. And of course, last night we wrapped up the multi-class GT series here with, it was a 75-minute race at 8 PM around here at Suzuka. So we're straight back here the next day on Friday to wrap up another championship.
Yeah, indeed. I heard earlier, I was talking to the other commentators, and of course we have multiple races going on at the same time. I was talking to George G. Mac Smith earlier. He said that he's been at Suzuka for about a week now, he said. So for the different championships that he works on, of course, he was, I believe, with you guys last night. And, well, you know what they say about Suzuka? It is a very fast, it's a very long track as well. I've not really been a particular fan of this place over the years, and that's not because of the track. That's just because I'm absolutely terrible around this particular track. Actually, I take that back. I'm okay at the track. The track just hates me.
I mean, it's a difficult circuit. You know, let's not let's not put that out of the water. Yeah. This is a difficult circuit. I mean, you know, I kind of compare this a bit to Silverstone. There are no easy corners on this circuit, not at all. I mean, you know, from the first corner, which you have to come in at an angle. Obviously, it's off camber. Such a sharp turn. Then you've got the S's, the Dunlop curve, the Degners, the hairpin, Spoon. And of course 130R in the chicane. It's so difficult to get a lap around here nice and clean. And of course doing that over a 60-minute stint here for the race tonight is going to be so difficult as well, especially to run at the pace that these guys do at the front. Currently watching Joe McCauley, as we have just under a minute of practice remaining. He's driving for the Ultrasend Aston Martin team. And I kind of get the feeling with some of the stuff we were seeing from Joe McCauley pre-race or pre-stream, Jesse, he might be doing a few sends tonight.
Yeah, he's absolutely doing it. He's doing it out here in practice. He's getting them in there, and he absolutely, going through the S's this lap, lit the car up to the place that it laid black marks on the racetrack because he was so sideways trying to force the car to enter the corner. I don't know if he's wrestling with the car through handling issues, or maybe that's just how he's extracting the most out of it. It's hard to argue with somebody who's second on the timesheet right now, but the way that he's driving this car, it looks like it looks like he's driving around in the cockpit full of bees, is what it looks like. I've never seen anyone drive that Aston like that and get such a response out of it, but the proof's in the pudding there, second so far, and that's actually where he's going to end. He's not going to get another lap here in practice. He'll be the first car to actually finish. And, of course, you got Tarek Gamil behind him as well. Look at him with the full send!
So Joe McCauley, a little bit of a drift to end out practice for him. And, of course, we await the rest of the finishers here for practice at the moment. Valentin Barrier, he's on a lap here for TX3. Of course, Valentin Barrier did quite well in the GT4 championship. He was driving in the Alpine, that's wide, and that's going to be an invalidated lap, and he'll pull over, and that'll be the end of his practice session. I think Jake Boswell, though, one of Jesse Lee's favourite drivers, he is still on a lap here in practice. I think he'll probably be the last guy out on track on a fast lap.
What's there not to like? He calls himself the Bosmeister. I call him Jedi Jake, and he has the game clips to prove that he can see an accident coming a mile away. He's avoided more accidents than I ever have. But he's a lovely powder blue, or a Carolina blue as we'd know it here in the States. Aston Martin, what not to like, but it's hard to find a car in this field that I don't like. You know, I like a lot of these paint jobs these guys have come up with, but I also don't really have a manufacturer that I particularly like more than the other. But anyway, qualifying underway, and look at the mad rush to get out of pit road here. I don't think I've seen this in quite some time. That is legitimately almost the entire grid who has immediately come out of pit road and attempting to get that first qualifying lap in there. Ryan, do you think that's because this track's so big and you'll get less chances here?
Oh, I mean, I think tonight, Jesse, it's the last round of the championship. Everyone's eager to get this race underway, and we see it so often, don't we? People getting held up in qualifying, not finding clear air. Someone, they catch up to the back of someone, and I myself, I'm not. I'm never too eager to get out of the pit line. I always like people to go out and do their thing. I'll take my time. I'll find a gap. But some people don't like to do that. Some people like to find their own gap, and you can start to see a couple of them spreading out now. But one thing that you can definitely tell is that Billy Octane, he was at the end of the pit lane, and he took full advantage of the fact he was at the end of the pit lane, so he could get out first, ahead of the Nissan of Lubomir Zeman. And I think it's going to be the 333 in the Triple R Bentley that will start the first fast lap of this qualifying session.
I am totally in your ballpark there, Ryan. I would absolutely just sit back. I've always been that guy in qualifying that would sit back and wait and find the gap and not rush out or anything, because I just don't want to be a part of this melee right here. I don't want to be any part of it. The only smart man right here is Billy Octane. He's the one that had the #1 pit stall. He was able to get out here. I suspect he had the #1 pit stall by virtue of being the first one in the server. Is that correct?
That is potentially correct. I can't remember how it organizes it exactly. I think it is by first joining on the server. But nonetheless, Billy Octane, he is about to start the first flying lap of this qualifying session, so we'll go on board with the Bentley driver for the final qualifying session of the season. Comes over the timing line, the green light's on for qualifying, and he comes into the first corner, aptly named first corner. Technically two sequences of corners here. You've got to stay so close to the apex, go out wide, don't touch the grass. And now he comes into the S's, previously called the Snake S's. And this is one of those corners, sequence of corners, you have to hold the highest gear possible. Billy Octane shifting down to second. I've seen people in the Bentley holding third through here. So Billy Octane doesn't quite have that confidence. He'll come through the Dunlop curve now. So important not to understeer off the track here. You'll invalidate your lap and lose so much time. But now he comes up to two incredibly fast corners. The first Degner goes wide, gets it all out of shape. Not entirely sure if he went fully off track or not. He'll go through the second Degner and now make his way towards the hairpin. Got to be so late on the brakes here. Tight towards the apex. Make sure you get a really good drive up the hill. So much time to be won or lost here. Billy Octane still carrying on with his lap through 200R, completely flat that corner. No hint of a lift. Now he'll make his way down towards Spoon Curve. Double apex corner here. You've got to be so precise. Gets a bit on the curve, doesn't go too wide. How close does he get to the inside curb on the second part? So much fighting at the wheel. He won't go wide on the exit. He comes onto the back straight, past the testing pit lane. And now he makes his way up towards the most famous corner on the circuit, 130R. Just going to be a hint of a lift here, I think. Yep, just about. Doesn't go too wide. He'll make his way towards the Casio chicane. How late on the brakes? Nice and late there. Doesn't overshoot it. Takes a bit of the inside curb, a lot of the outside curb on the exit. And he'll come through the last curve to end out the lap. I'm not entirely sure if this will be a valid lap. We'll find out as he comes towards the line now. Billy Octane will cross the line, and it will not count for the first qualifying lap of the session. Lubomir Zeman and Josef Varga will put the first laps down on the board, but Herbert Froschel will set the first 59 of the session.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Ryan. You said a couple things there I just want to touch on. First of all, yeah, he went off the track in Degner there and got just a little bit too much off track. He was approaching dirt rally territory there, and that's exactly what went ahead and disallowed that lap time. Tarek Gamil goes quickest at a 59.715 right now. Early in qualifying here, still got 10 minutes to go. But something you said stuck with me here, and it's something that's very true as well. there's, as you see, a car backwards there. Got the snake all wrong there. But you mentioned, yes, indeed. You mentioned that a lot of these corners are a sequence of corners. And a matter of fact, this is probably the track that has the most corner sequences of any other track. Like, what I mean by that is the corners are not independent of one another. You have to go into a corner, setting yourself up for the other corner. I think there's like 2 or 3 corners here where you don't do that, but every other one you have to, because you have to be completely aware of what's coming up in front of you, including this hairpin right here that leads into 200R. That's this track's party piece right here, is the fact that you always have to be thinking ahead to that next corner, and it's all about setting up those long straightaways, because like you said, if you screw up those long straightaways, you're going to be in a world of hurt, especially if you're in a car that doesn't have a big V8 engine. And I know that sounds a bit American, but it's just how GT racing is. Sundstrom leading with a 59.391.
I have to say, Jesse, you know, I agree completely on the sequences of corners. I think the only tracks that come to mind that could potentially be up there with Suzuka is Silverstone and Zolder. Of course, Zolder has the mass amount of chicanes, all that lead into different corners. And then, of course, Silverstone is just a mess of technical corners.
Yeah, it sure is. It really is. As Zaire Essa is going to come across and run the first 58 of the day. It's going to be a 58.959. And that was their lap time. They came in. Now they're going to go back out. Darren King, where has he been? Darren King up to second place in the number 38 Ferrari. Darren's missed some races, hasn't he?
I believe so. Let me have a look. So, 10th in the championship. He has had 2 races that he's missed. Yes, you are correct there, Jesse.
Yeah, I used to seeing him up at the front of these fields in these pro races, and I haven't seen him recently. But Darren King, in his number 38 Ferrari, he goes to second place, approaching halfway done in this qualifying session, chaps. You're going to get one good shot at it here. Don't miss your chance, Mom Spaghetti style. Get in there and set that lap time. Again, a 1:58.959, and the story becomes, can anybody beat Zaire today? I don't know. He looked pretty good in practice, I should say. Let's take a look at our championship rivals right now. Jardier down in 9th place and Tinko van der Velde down in 11th. Not far off of each other, but a bit off the pace of Zaire and King, it must be said. Sundstrom lagging a bit behind as pictured here. This is your championship leader. 8 points to the good. 2 no mistakes needed today. Otherwise, you will hand that championship off to someone else, and that someone is Tinko van der Velde. What poetic justice it would be if Tinko got his revenge today after Jardier beat him on Monday. But you know what Jardier wants to do? I'm sure he's done this at some point in his life. He would like to win 2 championships in a single week in the same 5 days.
Yeah, definitely so. And Tinko van der Velde, I mean, you think back to 2 weeks ago, Jesse, at Mount Panorama, Bathurst. Tinko van der Velde put it in the wall moments after Jardier had scraped the wall. And, you know, you have to think that Tinko van der Velde could have had this championship almost wrapped up. Had he not put his car in the wall. He was looking comfortable in first place. Of course, Bathurst, you're never comfortable around that circuit, and obviously even the best of us can still get it wrong. And I think that's one of the things that has really thrown this championship up, you know, into the air, is that Tinko van der Velde had it locked down. Had he won that race, it would have been, you know, 20-30 point gap between him and Jardier. But of course, you know, he didn't. He finished well down the order. Jardier won the race, and that just threw the whole thing wide open. And it's one of those elements, isn't it? And I said this last night. Ismail Lebrec, who is not here because he's not racing in the Friday Championship, he had a disconnect at Silverstone for the Multi-Class Championship. If he had not had that disconnect at Silverstone, he would have won the Multi-Class Championship by 4 points.
Oh.
And this is what I'm saying. It's those not even always mistakes, but But it's those moments that happen in races that blow a championship wide open or ruin a championship for you. And it's those moments that you think back on come the end of the season. Is there something you could have done different?
Yeah, 100% that. I've won championships, Ryan, and I've lost championships like that. Little silly mistakes, disconnects, making a silly mistake, going for a position in the middle of a race where you really don't have to, anything like that, pressing a little bit too hard instead of taking second or third place. We're all guilty of it. I'm guilty of it. I've done it. And again, I've lost championships that I've worked months on getting in a position where I could win it just because I make one little mistake. That's exactly what you're describing. I think a lot of us can sympathize with that, but that's how racing is. Love it or leave it. That's why we all watch it. That's why we all participate. And that's why we like it so much, because there's so many different things that can possibly go wrong and go right. Zaire Essa comes in and is not done here. He set a 58.641, knocks a few tenths off of his time, sets a little gap between him and Darren King. We're going to see Martin Lawrence come through here. Is he going to set a quicker time? We're going to find out in about 100 feet. Does he go up the grid all the way to third place, threatening Darren King? Martin Lawrence does a heck of a job in his 171 AMG for Lost Connection Racing Team, which is not the best name we could have went to considering the conversation we've just been having, but it's fantastic racing is, because you never know. Mechanical failures, disconnects, all of those things. And need I remind anyone out there, some of the best racing championships ever undertaken were decided by similar things. The 1976 Formula One World Championship comes to mind there. That Lauda-James Hunt battle that came down to a DNF. That was the difference in that one, and many more besides. But today we're hoping that all of our competitors can stay on the road and in the race today. No silly mistakes is going to be the name of the game. Jardier up to 7th now. Vandervelde still in 11th. The reason we keep mentioning those guys, of course, these are our championship contenders today. These are the two that have the realistic shot of winning the championship. We'll keep you abreast of the other battles, because good Lord knows we have no shortage of battles in the field today. But these are our top two. 8 points, the difference. That's the difference between first and third, I think. I think that would be enough to swing the championship either way.
Andrzej Dedicek in the chat. Lawrence is flying, so he's obviously cheering on his teammate from the Barcelona 6 hour that we ran not too long ago. And yeah, Martin Lawrence is flying. Tinko van der Velde will cross the line. He'll go 5th in qualifying. Puts himself in front of Jardier in qualifying, exactly where he needs to be.
Absolutely amazing stuff by Tinko. He probably isn't listening to us, but he knows what he needs to do. We got that gap from 2nd all the way down to 7th. And by the way, Sam McRatz and Sundstrom dead heat tied for that position. Sam McRatz set the lap first, so he will get that position 6th over 7th, but it was a dead heat. We're going to see if Jardier comes down the line and see if he busts anything off here. He's going to bust something off big time. Up to 2nd place is Jardier. Fantastic stuff. Says, take that, Vandervelde. Take that, Darren King. Take that, Martin Lawrence. Does everyone in except Zaire up at the top. Joe McCauley, who was so quick in practice earlier, does he have anything for these guys? Takes the short way around the final corner. Doesn't fan out. What does he have? Eventually does shade to the opposite side of the track. Can he improve? Yes, he does. McCauley to 2nd place, bumping Jardier down to 3rd. Excellent, excellent stuff. And if you're Jardier, you got to be happy that you're in the top 3, but you got to be mad that now you're not on the front row anymore.
Yeah, Jardier will retire from qualifying now. He's going to say, job done for the moment. Tinko van der Velde, I think he's got enough time to get around for one more lap.
No.
I think he'll get to the line in time.
Oh.
I think he might just have, it's going to be close. He might just have enough time to go around and complete one more lap. He might just have one chance at this. 15 seconds. Ooh, it's going to be close.
Oh, it's going to be real close.
He
he bodged it.
Oh, but actually...
Wait, nah, he's not. Wait. Hold on a minute.
No, it's not going to be enough. Oh, so close, but Tinker Vandervelde won't get the chance. 6th place, going to be the best he could do in qualifying. So here Essa is still up on his lap time, by the way. He's been absolutely flying here. He won the ATK Pro Series race here just a few days ago. I remember seeing an article on that. So the South African, who George Smith will be cheering on tonight, he's going to be doing really, really well in qualifying. He'll come up towards the line. He doesn't need to improve his time. He might just do so anyway. And it is going to be a 158.476. 4 tenths and a half between him and Macaulay. Slams down the gauntlet. He knows where he wants to be tonight.
Well, he gets marks off for me because that's just showing off. To have that much time in the bank and be able to show that at the last. The second that Macaulay got close to him, he's able to throw the gauntlet down again and gain more time. Zaire, that is just showing off. That is very shameful, and I wish I had your pace. Fantastic stuff by Zaire, though. He was not really in a threat of losing that pole position, but he wanted to make sure that he had a lap that could withstand everybody else. We haven't seen this face in a while. Cormac Ryan Meenan coming up to the line, way down in 17th place. We're going to see if he improves. He indeed does improve to 14th position. So a lot of drivers uncharacteristically in the middle of the field today. And here is his brother, Killian Ryan Meenan, who will come across the line here to finish up his qualifying lap. We'll see if he can peek inside the top 10 with a better lap here today. See a lot of different lines around that final corner. Some people like it nice and tight. Some people like to go around the middle for maximum speed. We're going to see, yes, he does. Killian Ryan Meenan goes all the way to 5th, and that bumps Vandervelde back to 7th place.
Well, so there you go. So here Essa will take pole position. Joe Macaulay alongside him on the front row. Jaroslav Honzik and Darren King. What a second row of the grid that is.
Holy moly.
Killian Ryan Meenan, Martin Lawrence, Tinker Vandervelde, Samuel Ratz, Mikael Sundstrom, and Herbert Froschel will round out your top 10 for qualifying. And as we wait on the grid now, let's have a look at the championship standings. How about you have a run through them with us, Jesse?
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Of course, Jardier out front in that number 38 Porsche has 188 points to his name. Tinko Vandervelde there has 180 in his number 66 Audi. Those are your championship two. It will likely be decided between the two of them. Third place belongs to Samuel Ratz. He has a podium in the series in that number 808 Lamborghini. He has 150 Fourth place is Joe Macaulay in the number 18 AMR V8 Vantage. He has 139 and is still within striking distance of Samuel Ratz today. Tariq Gamil is in 5th place in that number 41 Bentley. He'll have to deal with some of the guys around him, and if he could best Joe Macaulay today, he may be able to take that 4th spot away. Killian Ryan Meenan, who we saw put in that lap there at the end of qualifying in the number 23 Porsche, is also a part of that battle in 6th place. 7th place, Michael Muthen, who I don't know if he's here today, is driving the number 19 Porsche back in 7th place. Osi Takamaki, another driver I haven't seen, in 8th place. Then we have Michael Sundstrom back in 9th on a recovery drive this entire season, it feels like. He could stand to gain a few spots today. And, of course, in 10th place, Darren King in the number 39, or 38, I should say, Ferrari, is also looking to make up some points in the final race. And then, of course, 11th on back, Martin Lawrence, Stephen Wurst, Zaire Essa, Bart Macha, Harry Conway, Dustin Wurst, Herbert Froschel, Anthony Frock, Alistar Gillies, Daniel Brambilla, Joseph Varga, and Frank Pedrozzini. That's your top 22. There are more, but that is just the top of the top that we have today. I'm not sure if anybody lower on the list is in fact even here today, but as you can see, there are battles all over the place.
Yeah, lots of battles all the way through the grid. Just over 2 minutes before we get underway for the final race of the season. And I think it's probably about time that we have a little bit of a run through the grid here tonight, Jesse. So if you don't mind, take it away for the starting grid.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, for the final round of the Pro Championship, ICGT, Zaire Essa responds and comes to the front of the grid. He shares the front row with Joe McCauley. Third place, it's going to be Jardier, the fan favorite, sharing a row with Darren King. Excellent drivers on that row. Killian Ryan Meenan put in that fantastic lap to get all the way up to fifth. He shares the row with Martin Lawrence. Next is Tinko van der Velde, the other piece of the championship puzzle, shares a row with Samuel Ratz. Then rounding out the top 10, it's going to be Michael Sundstrom and Froschel. Rounding out the top 10. Further back in the grid, we have Mr. Harry Conway and Tarek Gamil. Then Valentin Berrier and Cormac Ryan Meenan. 15th and 16th, Varga and Muthen, who is in the race today. I did not recognize him previously, but he is in here. Then we have Mr. Jake Boswell and Mr. Alistair Gillies. Then Lubomir Zeman and Haynes. 21st and 22nd, that's going to be Worst and Octane. Then 23rd, Christian Wheel, and that is where my timing sheet ends, but I know there's more people in the race than that as we continue through the back of the grid. A lot of things, a lot of moves can be had back here. As we look at here in the back of the grid, we have matching cars, as it turns out. The 899 and the 130. Ladies and gentlemen, that is your starting grid for the final round of the ICGT Championship here, live on RCI TV. Of course, I'm Jesse Lee. I'm joined by Ryan Gill. He's the man commentating and working all the cameras, bringing you these beautiful camera angles. And you may have noticed it's 7 p.m. and it's a bit cloudy and a bit dark already. Ryan, how is this going to affect the drivers today?
Well, for a start, it's going to be a lot cooler than it was in qualifying. And that's going to play a massive part in how it's been today. Obviously, we had 31 degrees in practice, 29 degrees in qualifying. We have all the way down to 19 at the moment, 7 in the evening. And of course, I did mention we had an evening race here at Suzuka last night. And we're going to be back for another evening race. And I have to say, Jesse, I've said it so many times before, I love night racing so much.
Yeah, there's something different about night racing, isn't there? Sometimes it's a bit calm, sometimes it's a bit chaotic. You don't see as well in the night, but I've always enjoyed it. As an American, as part of a lot of sim racing endurance teams, I always get the night stint anyway, so it's just as well that I enjoy the night because that's pretty much all I get done is racing in the night. But I love it. I love it. There's something about it. You get to see the car lights on, the exhaust glowing, the brake rotors, and it is just different. It's just a different sort of atmosphere than racing in the heat of the day. Look at all these cars cycling through. Fantastic sort of atmosphere we have around Suzuka. Pretty much the perfect sort of track to end this championship on, if I do say so myself. I know some people thought it'd be funny to have Bathurst as the last track, but I agree with the majority of people who say this was the right choice, and I agree, it absolutely was fantastic. Zaire Essa leading here, had the quickest lap time by a bit. I suspect he will get a clean getaway and go play by himself. He's not the kind to like to share his toys, and I don't think he'll have to today. I do think Macaulay, Hanzik, King, Killian, Ryan Meenan, Lawrence, and Tinko van der Velde, even Ratz and Sundstrom perhaps, are going to be in a big melee for a while as they sort it out, because one thing that we haven't touched on here yet is that these cars all have different displacements. They all have different drivetrain positions and stuff like that. Their arrows all different. So these cars are going to be good at different ends of the racetrack, different parts of it. And all that's going to do is, it's going to be frustrating for them. It's going to make it more interesting for us to watch, Ryan.
Yeah, definitely will be. So given what I've just heard from you, Jesse, am I correct in assuming that Zaire Essa is your pick for tonight?
Yeah, there's nobody that's going to touch Zaire Essa today. He's going to drive away and he's going to win one for South Africa, and that's just the way it's going to be today.
Okay then, I'll ask you a much more difficult question. Who's going to win the championship?
Oh, I was really hoping you'd have forgotten, Ryan. I don't know. Ask me in about 1 hour and 5 minutes time, and I will have an answer to that. I have no idea.
We're going to have to do math on stream again.
Oh, we are. And folks, if you're wondering why we can't decide, it's because if you would go back to 2 weeks ago, it's in our VOD. Like and subscribe, by the way. It's in our VOD. Go back and after this and watch that race. We didn't know who was going to win the race 2 weeks ago at Bathurst. We had, 7 or 8 lead changes at Bathurst? And that's why I cannot today pick a winner of this race. But do you have somebody in mind?
I think Tinko van der Velde is going to do it.
Do you think he's going to pull off the upset today?
I think he'll do it. I think he's out for blood. Not in the crashing kind of way. I think Tinko, he's not a great qualifier. He does get pole positions occasionally, but he's not a great qualifier. Jardier is a fantastic racer as well, though. That can't be, you can't ignore that. But I have to be honest. Like, I think Tinko's going to go for it today. I don't think he's got anything to lose. I think he's just going to give it everything he's got, and
that's what I want to see.
Whether it comes off or not, I don't entirely know. But we've got an entire hour to figure it out here. The final round of the Intercontinental GT Sprint Championship here that we've been running at RCI. 4 races down, 1 more to go. Zahir Esser on pole in the Porsche. Joe McCauley alongside him in the Aston Martin. It's a Porsche and a Ferrari behind on the second row of the grid. We're moments away until lights out for the final race of the season, and we are green. Zahir Esser will get a good start off the line. Joe McCauley is going to be looking on the outside line, but Jaroslav Honzik seems to have had a phenomenal start as he'll be on the inside of the Aston Martin coming into turn 1. Is he going to have the inside line to take it through turn 2? Yes, he is.
Absolutely fantastic driving from Mr. Jardier to get that position. He's going to have to continue to fight as they go up through the S's and the Snake. Not a single massive accident in this field of 26 cars strong. Everybody still snaking their way up through the S's. You do not want to be side by side, but that's exactly what's going to happen here. And finally, Jardier is going to get cleared of McCauley. Jardier promote him up to second place. McCauley now having to fight off and fend off Darren King. Darren King looking like he may be in trouble from Killian Ryan Meenan. Killian trying to get that spot back. Oh, there's a couple of touches here between these two drivers, and that's going to send Killian Ryan Meenan off into the dirt here in the Degners. He's going to have to be very careful. This started at the entry of the Degners between the two of them. Oh, and a bit of a touch there, and he had nowhere to go but the dirt, but he saves it, and I think that was the end of that incident. Thank goodness. Was that Killian or was that Cormac?
I believe it was Killian.
It was Killian and Darren King.
Yeah, it was. I don't think we've had the timing update yet, as Martin Lawrence has a look on the inside of Tinko van der Velde's car. Samuel Ratz is looking interested as well, but don't ignore Mikael Sundstrom. He's had 3 podiums in the last 2 weeks, Sundstrom, so do not discount this man's pace. He might not qualify the best, but boy, does he have race pace, especially late on. But Tinko van der Velde, he is going to be under pressure from the likes of Martin Lawrence. It's confirmed to us that it was Killian Ryan Meenan that went off track. He's starting to drop down the order now on the timing sheet. But Martin Lawrence will go really late into the braking zone for the chicane. He's going to miss the chicane. He's going to lose out to Samuel Ratz as a result. Went for the move, couldn't pull it off. Made sure there was no contact though, and that's something I definitely like to see. But I think Samuel Ratz is now going to have a bit of company as they come down towards turn 1 for the second time.
Absolutely incredible stuff. He hit the Yeetus Deletus on himself right there, but absolutely, like you said, no contact, kept it clean, just overran his brakes, so to speak. Couldn't quite get stopped for the chicane. But again, you lose a couple of positions, you live and you learn, and you get back in the race. And that's what we want to see. Jardier up to second. He's 2 seconds behind Essa, who has decided to go play in his own area code. He doesn't want to play with anybody else. He wants a clean and green race for himself, and he has a 2-second gap at this time. In fact, it is actually going out to about 2.5 seconds now. McCauley, though, still on the back of Jardier, as we are looking at Samuel Ratz, another man that's up inside the top 5, or in the top 10, I should say, looking for championship points here, could potentially come out here with a higher finishing position. Again, all to play for here, and he's got Tinko van der Velde in front of him, and of course here's Mikael Sundstrom, who is back in 8th place. He's at the end of this freight train, led by Darren King. Darren King back to Sundstrom, all in a line. That's 4th through 8th position. And this beautiful in-car view provided by Mr. Ryan Gill shows you exactly sort of the driver level of what they're doing, what they're seeing, what they're dealing with. Beautiful twilight shots here as he is trying not to get overran or overrun anybody. And I gotta say, a lap ago, I felt real bad for Vandervelde, who looked like he was getting ready to make a move on King for 4th place. Rats came in there, spoiled the party, made him defend, and all that's done is allow Darren King to walk him out by almost an entire second right now.
Yeah, Darren King definitely doing what he needs to do, which is gap the likes of Tinko Vandervelde. Vandervelde knows that as it stands, Jardier is champion. And of course, he has to do something about that, and the only thing he can do right now is defend, it seems, because Samuel Ratz is coming right up behind him. Tinko Vandervelde needs to get into a rhythm, he needs to find some pace, or he's going to be finding himself dropping further back through the field. I got told by Ismail Lebrec that the Lamborghini isn't too good around here at Suzuka, and then we saw a 1-2 yesterday from the Lamborghini, so I'm starting to not believe everything I hear anymore. And Samuel Ratz is definitely giving this car a good run for its money around this circuit.
Yeah, indeed. I once heard that the Porsche was no good at, what was it, Bathurst, and then I saw Jardier win there, so I'm not so sure either.
So Joe McCauley, he is on the back of Jaroslav Honzik at the moment, and this is exactly what Tinko Vandervelde will be knowing. He can see this up ahead. He's got Darren King in front of him, but he'll know that Joe McCauley is putting pressure on Jaroslav Honzik, and Joe McCauley doesn't care about the championship. He's just fighting his own race. He has his own championship position and points to worry about. He doesn't care that Jardier's in for the running of the championship win. He just wants to get to the end in the highest position possible, and if that means getting past Jaroslav Honzik, that's what it's going to mean. But at the moment, the gap seems to be fluctuating a little between 2 to 3 tenths of a second, occasionally going underneath that cap. But it seems at the moment the Porsche does have a slight edge over the Aston Martin as the Heeressa leads by 2.7.
Yeah, this is my favorite thing. This is the classic relationship argument of I have needs too. McCauley thinks that he can finish as high as 3rd in this championship, and that's nothing to shake a stick at. That is very prestigious indeed to finish in the top 3 positions. A podium is great, right? So he doesn't really care too much about what Jardier is doing. Obviously, he's going to respect him because that's how Joe McCauley races. But what I'm saying is, he doesn't care if Jardier wins or not. He wants 3rd, and that's all he's considering at this point. So if he can get by Jardier, as he's thinking about looking into turn 1, doesn't quite stick it in there for not an ultra send at all. That was very, very conservative down into turn 1. But that's what I'm trying to tell you right there, is he wants that 2nd place. He probably will eventually take it. I think Jardier might just let him by. But of course, that's less points in between and less cars in between him and Vandervelde, who's hanging on in 5th place.
Yeah, well, hanging on is about the right word. That Lamborghini is looking tasty, isn't it? And of course, Martin Lawrence, he's not going to live up to, to anything either. He's going to keep on the back of Samuel Ratz. He lost the position, overcooking it into the final chicane, but he's going to take any opportunity he gets to take that position back. Mikael Sundström starting to fall into a little bit of a bubble. He's dropping off a bit from the likes of Martin Lawrence, but he still has a lead on the 2 behind.
Yeah, a lot of battles going on here with less than 10 minutes to go. This is pretty much what we expect to see around here, what we've come to see indeed, is a lot of different makes, manufacturers, and drivetrain styles all intermingling. Look at the glow of the exhaust on that Mercedes. That's lovely. I love to see that. That'll only become more pronounced as the evening drags on. We stay with Martin Lawrence here, who again, like Ryan said, overcooked it into the chicane, but he's looking to get that position back from Ratz and start making up some time. As you see the red car in front, that is Tinko Vandervelde, 2nd in our championship, I should say. He's fallen off of Darren King quite a bit here, and so is McCauley for Jardier, I should also mention, but look at this camera provided. This is Ryan Gill working the camera angles for us. This is inside Samuel Ratz's grill of his Lamborghini, looking at the back of Tinko van der Velde. This is the fight for 5th place. Look at him get right up the back of that, not Aston Martin, that's an Audi, me. What am I saying? The number 66 Audi. The pipes lit up on that car. Love these camera angles right in the grill. Gets you right down on the racetrack. Just shows you how savage these cars are. And look at whenever the car in front of it. Oh, is this going to be a bit of a squirrely move? That did not look right in that Audi. Am I wrong? Did he get that thing sideways?
Oh, that was a slip. That was definitely a slip. That was not your eyes deceiving you, Jesse. There was definitely a loss of grip in there at some point in time for Tinko van der Velde. But Joe McCauley, he's right on the back of Jaroslav Honzik. He's not given up. And I have to say, this is going to be great to see for Joe McCauley getting right up onto the back of the Porsche as they come out of the hairpin. Is he going to have the pace? No. They're going to be coming up towards Spoon Curve. And I just get the feeling here that neither of our championship contenders are comfortable right now.
No, both of them are being hunted and trying to gain position and gain space on the racetrack. Neither one of them are getting it, and if Joe McCauley gets any closer to the back of Jardier, he will know exactly what Jardier had for dinner. That's just how close they're getting, and that's either good or bad, depending on what side of this argument you are. Look at him fake to the right a little bit, or to the left, I should say, thinking about making that pass in 130R, gets back in line. He keeps coming out a little bit, letting them know, hey, I'm still here and I could potentially make this pass. You got to be very aware, because look at Darren King. Darren King now has caught this group. It's taken him about 2 or 3 laps. He's left van der Velde and he has caught this group as well. So if they get side by side, if they go side by side at the wrong point, like maybe up the S's or 200R, that is going to do nothing but bring Darren King back into it. And now van der Velde rear-facing camera. We had the front-facing camera of Samuel Ratz. Now we have the wing camera of van der Velde looking back at Samuel Ratz, and look who's right there. That is Martin Lawrence in the 171 Mercedes, right at the back of them. And if I'm not very much mistaken, that's the 899 of Sundstrom, who has reworked his way back into this picture as well, as once again they go up the hill, up through the snake, and eventually into Degner. This is lovely stuff. Excellent. You can see how quickly and how ferociously they are turning the wheels of these machines to get them to go into the corner. Talked about at the top of the show that McCauley was absolutely throwing his Aston Martin around. Was that a bit of a slip as well? Did he go a little bit too off the track, or was that a perfectly placed car on the rumble strip? You be the judge.
It's going to be a bit hard to tell, as I think Martin Lawrence is having a bit of a look on Samuel Ratz behind, but no doing there. And a couple of people in chat giving their thoughts on some of the stuff, and someone saying, I think McCauley might go for the Sen. Jardier has the championship to fight for, so he might give up the position rather than risking a crash. And, well, I mean, you know, that's perfectly logical. I mean, we talked about it last night. Why would you put yourself in danger? Why would you make any risks when you don't need to? I mean, Tinko van der Velde has to finish in front of Jardier. And I know what you're going to say, Jesse. I know what you're going to say. They're racing drivers.
What am I going to say? Exactly.
They're racing drivers, and they want the best position possible.
The words perfectly logical and race car driver don't compute together. That is not a thing that's ever occurred at any point. But you're absolutely right. That is exactly what should happen here. If you're being hounded, if you're Jardier and you're being hounded by McCauley, you don't care. The highest McCauley can realistically finish is 3rd. So why do you care? Well, he might care because that's literally one last car in between the two of them. He's going to try to go around the outside into turn 1. Can't quite do it. He's going to stay a bit wide and try to cut turn 2 here to get a better position up the snake. It isn't going to work. He's going to have to fall back in line, and all that does is draw Darren King back into this. But look, he did not lose as much time as I thought, right onto the back of Jardier. Jardier, of course, at this point has made his statement known that, hey, I am not going to just let you drive by me. I need cars in between me and my championship rival. And Jardier gets that thing completely sideways, Tokyo drift style, to try and get that car turned into the corner. I didn't think Porsche's had a turn-in problem, but oh my goodness, that was very near disaster.
Well, Darren King's looking at all of this, and he's going to get excited, isn't he? Because he's catching these guys, and my word is he catching them, because he's right on the back of Joe McCauley right now, and that plays into Jaroslav Honzik's hands. He's obviously thinking, yes, Darren King's here. Teammate of mine, formerly, and occasionally still is for some endurance races, and you know, he's going to be thinking, yes, he's going to put pressure on him, he's going to get him off my back, and you can see that now as Joe McCauley is starting to drop back a bit. His focus is shifted behind him, he's looking at his mirrors, he knows that Darren King is there, and Darren King, you know, we've said it multiple times, he goes about his business very, very quietly, doesn't he? He just kind of sneaks up on people. And that's the problem with Darren King. He sneaks up on you, and then once he's there, it's too late.
Yep, I've raced against Darren King. I had a notable, I was an hour and a half race around Laguna Seca once, and I was in like 5th or something like that, and Darren King, who qualified 2nd, was involved in a turn 1 incident, as you will do at Laguna Seca, and I didn't hear anything from him for 45 minutes, and then the next thing I know, he had just passed me, and I last saw him in 22nd. And he passed me for 5th. And I remember thinking, that's not fair. But that's Darren King in a nutshell. He's very quiet, methodical. He gets the job done. He actually went on to finish on the podium in that race. But that's just one snippet of what Darren King is like. He creeps up on you, and then he's just gone. And that's the sort of the thing we're looking at here. What we are looking at right now, though, this is Lubomir Zeman, who is literally in the middle of a cluster of cars in a Nissan GTR. GTR being brought home back to Japan. Lovely car, love to see it out there on the racetrack. Turned out to be pretty competitive in this championship, believe it or not, all things told, competing for top 10s in the hands of Aussie Takamaki and Lubomir Zeman. So I was actually really proud that that car that hasn't had a BOP update in a long time is still able to come out here and hack it. Zeman in between Gillies and Whale right now, looking to carve out himself a little bit of a gap, maybe get in front of Gillies in front as we snap back to Samuel Ratz. Samuel Ratz thinking about making that pass on Vandervelde again.
Joe McCauley's dropped behind Darren King. He's got a problem.
Oh, my word. I wonder what could have happened to McCauley. Perhaps we talked about it in practice, and Ryan and I both saw McCauley going for it in practice. Perhaps he threw it off the road a little bit. He is back on the road, just in 4th place. That'll be good news. That'll be good news to the ears of Mr. Jardier in 2nd place, because now he's got a 2nd gap again, and he still has the same amount of cars in between him and Vandervelde. Somebody in chat earlier asking what the live championship would look like. Jardier, if he stays in front of Vandervelde, who's driving the number 66, if the 39 stays in front of the 66, Jardier wins the championship. If the positions reverse, then we'll have to bust out calculators and think about it, because there's only 8 points between them, and I think 2 positions below Vandervelde would be enough for Vandervelde to win this championship.
Well, look, Jesse, I'll do you the math right now.
Let's hear it.
All right, so Jaroslav Honzik is 2nd, Tinker Vandervelde is 5th. Like you said, as it stands, Jardier wins the championship. Now, if Tinker Vandervelde finishes 2nd and Jardier is 3rd, that means Jardier wins the championship by 4 points. Tinker Vandervelde finishes 2nd. He needs Jardier to finish in 5th. So, ideally, for Tinker Vandervelde, they need to swap places right now.
Indeed, indeed. And that was Ryan Gill, by the way. He has a maths degree, I'm pretty sure.
I have a GCSE in maths. That's about it.
Oh, dearie me. We have fun here on this show, ladies and gentlemen. Zaires now has a 5.5 second lead on Jardier. He has set sail. He is completely gone. And as we have not mentioned yet, but will do right now, every driver is required to come in and do a mandatory pit stop. You do not have to take tires. You just merely have to put a liter of fuel in to satisfy the mandatory pit stop in the race. And you can take that at any time. There's no pit road open section. You could do that imminently or later. Several drivers have come in already and done that. 20th, 21st, 22nd, 23rd, that's going to be Froschel, Conway, Octane Worst, and some others have come into pit road. Oh, dear. And, Ryan, we have some penalties.
Oh, we do. We do, in fact. And actually, Jesse Lee, this is going to be a perfect opportunity for us to show off one of ACC's newest features. I'm not sure, have you heard about it yet with the penalties?
I have indeed.
So obviously, if you've been watching ACC before and you've seen any of our events with live stewarding, you'll know that any time penalties are added on at the end of the race. However, Kunos released an update which means time penalties are now served at your next pit stop, and if not served, they are taken at the end of the race. So, for example, Youssef Varga, who is one of the cars with a penalty here tonight, he's the 221. He's been given a 5-second penalty, and he will be able to serve that at his mandatory pit stop. However, Herbert Froschel, in the 86, he has got a 5-second penalty, and he has already served his mandatory pit stop, which means he's going to be serving that penalty at the end of the race. It'll be added onto his total race time. But keep an eye on Youssef Varga's name, because once he comes in for that stop, that 5 seconds will disappear, because he will serve it static in the pit lane. And I have to be honest, Jesse, I think that's one of the best hotfix updates they've ever made.
Yeah, they'll get nothing but Kunos will get nothing but kudos from me on that respect. I love that. Anything to make the racing more realistic, anything to make it more compatible, anything to make a race more dynamic. I love it. My hat's off to you guys at Kunos. I absolutely love that. Excellently explained by Ryan as well. I heard about that, and I first of all, I checked to see if I was dreaming. Second of all, I fell out of my chair once I realized I was very much awake, and I'm going to love seeing this in action, because this will be the first time for me that I've actually seen this in a live race that I've commentated on actually occur. So fantastic stuff going on in ACC, constant updates, bringing you excellent racing, and every day we get a little bit closer to that realism that we all strive for. Is this battle right here? Samuel Ratz thinking about going down to the inside on Vandervelde. He's going to have to cut off the corner, almost gets into Vandervelde, doesn't quite get the pass done, has to fall back in line. Very nearly a mistake. Look how hard he hits the curb here. Samuel does good driving to keep that off of Vandervelde. Red, white, and blue. Almost danger here, and it's continuing to be danger. I think is that Martin Lawrence trying to go around the outside? It sure is. Martin Lawrence done falling in line, trying to go around the outside of Samuel Ratz. Nothing doing there, cannot hold the position into the S's, and everything resets to not, but my word was that close.
Youssef Varga's just picked up a drive-through penalty for track limits, so that compounds his day even worse. He's got a drive-through penalty to serve, and then a 5-second stop penalty to serve when he goes in for his mandatory pit stop.
Yes, indeed. I can tell you the 47 was given a 5-second penalty for braking too late and taking out another car. Apparently, they gave back the position, though. That's why it was only a 5-second penalty. The 86 was given a 5-second penalty for braking too late and bumping into several other cars. They also gave the position back. And, of course, as you just saw, the 221 was given a 5-second penalty for forcing an overtake against another car. And you may be wondering why it's important that we keep bringing up that they gave the position back. Well, it is really important because our live stewards in the box just beside ours, they take that into consideration when giving out penalties. If you show remorse for what you've done, meaning that you did it accidentally and it was just a bit of a mistake, they're likely to take a bit more leniency on you, I should say, as opposed to just driving off into the sunset.
Yeah, we saw it last night, actually. It was Harry Conway and Youssef Varga, as we currently watch Darren King getting very, very close to the back of that Yas-Heat Porsche of Jaroslav Honzik. Youssef Varga actually had a bit of contact with Harry Conway, and, spun Conway around. Conway lost a few positions, but Youssef Varga slowed down, gave the position back, said, look, it's my bad, didn't mean it. Got a 5-second penalty, because obviously Harry Conway did lose positions, and he did lose time. But of course that penalty would have been much more severe if he just carried on driving. Later on in the race, Harry Conway hit the back of Youssef Varga, so a bit of a return tap, and Harry Conway didn't actually wait to give back the position, and received a 15-second time penalty for it.
So you're telling me neither one of those gentlemen are going to each other's Christmas parties this year?
Probably not.
bit unfortunate. You know what isn't unfortunate? This racing for second place. Former teammates going at it right here. Not teammates today. One in a Porsche, one in a Ferrari. And it is take two electric boogaloo for Jardier, who was under attack immediately in this race from McCauley. Now it's Darren King behind him. And Darren King, who has even less to play for, so to speak, than McCauley did, is now the one that's on the immediate back of Jardier. And he was sniffing around there like he was trying to give him an oil change into some of those corners. But again, Darren King keeping it nice and clean and tidy. Doesn't want to do anything to upset Jardier. Of course, they are intermittent teammates. They're friends. Very respected in the sim community. They don't want to do anything untoward to each other.
I'm going to tell you right now, Jesse, it's just like real racing drivers. You're friends off the track, but as soon as the lights go out, you're not friends anymore. Well,
that's right.
Not for the hour, at least.
That's right. Darren King is in that car going, who's Jardier? Don't know him, never heard of him.
Yeah, and of course he's going to be looking to get past. And Darren King, of course, you know, he's got a lot to show for today. Obviously, he's two no-show appearances so far in this championship. He's lost out big time on points. But of course, we know how quick he is, and we know how good he is. And, you know, he's just going to be here to say, look, I missed a couple of races, but I can still mix it with the big boys. And of course, we all know that. And quite a few of you guys will know that at home. But of course, putting on a really, really good show at the moment. And, well...
I tell you one thing, Ryan. If they continue this cat and mouse game, that's going to bring McCauley back into this. Remember, McCauley had that, we didn't see it, but they had some sort of issue. We assume it was an off track. That car doesn't appear to be damaged at all, but he is creeping back up into the picture. He's got it to within 2 seconds of Darren King now. So that is going to continue to be a thorn in Jardier's side in my mind. Samuel Ratz, by the way, continuing to be a thorn in Martin Lawrence's side as they go through Degner again this time by. And you'll notice it's getting a bit darker out there, isn't it? Light levels a little bit lower. You definitely need the headlights now, as there is no real orange in the sky. It's all blue and coming over all starry now as the night does creep in. 7:34 p.m. in sim time. 18 degrees C, that is your track and your ambient temperature. We're hearing Jardier over pressurize his tires a little bit, Ryan, and that's why he's struggling quite as much as he is. And I think some of these other drivers may have done that as well. As we look at Christian Will, back in 13th place, he's got Lubomir Zeman in front of him and Haynes behind him. Haven't seen too much out of him today. He would like to get into the top 10 here, but that hasn't really been on the cards just yet. Ryan, could you very quickly tell me where Jake the Bosmeister Boswell is?
Jake Boswell, in fact, as I'm looking down here, he's, I don't know if he's no longer in the race.
Oh dear.
He retired on lap 4 of the race. I don't actually have a reason why. Oh, actually, wait, no. 47, Jake Boswell received a 5-second time penalty on for a lap 1 incident, turn 11. He braked too late and took out the 404 of Bart Matcher. Did give back the position, so he received a 5-second time penalty for that. But I'm guessing Jake Boswell probably had damage and has now decided to retire from the race. So that's really unfortunate for Jake. And
indeed.
It's not the way you want to end your season, especially, you know, not at such a race like this, you know, where a lot of people just be thinking, oh, go out there, enjoy it, last race of the season, and, you know, the last thing you want to be doing is, you know, unfortunately retiring after 4 laps.
Yeah, that's not Jake's style. He would only really retire the car if he didn't, you know, if it was going to take an hour to repair or something like that. So that's what I was interested in. I was making sure that my timing wasn't screwed up here because he just wasn't on the list anymore. And I definitely know he started inside the top 20 at the beginning. But by the way, as we watch Christian Wheel, don't take your eyes off of the timesheet for number 4, or the 4th position, I should say, the number 18 Aston Martin. Told you he was within 2 seconds of Darren King a minute ago. Well, on this lap, he is very nearly got it down under a second there. That is very good pace. Macaulay clawing back into that race. Actually lost a little bit of time in that sector. We stay with Christian Wheel. Wheel looking at Lubomir Zeman in, I believe, the only Nissan GTR in the field today because Osi Takamaki's not here. But this gives you a great idea of what it's like. As he's sawing at the wheel, he might as well be at a log mill the way that he's sawing at that thing. Very obviously, that Porsche 911 with the nameplate 911 isn't driving too well, but he is staying right up close to the Nissan at this time. But
Joe McCauley in the pit lane, Jesse.
Oh, Joe McCauley is in pit lane. That's fantastic. I think that's the right move, personally. You were running down Mr. Jardier and Darren King because Darren King is boxed in here. That's the perfect strategy. Come in and get into pit road before you start getting held up again, and maybe it pays dividends at the end of the race.
Yeah, of course, Christian Veal also going into the pit lane, so he was stuck behind Lubomir Zeman. He's taken the same judgment. And Jardier won't like this now because he'll have seen Joe McCauley catching back up to Darren King and thought, ooh, yes, as Darren King and Jardier both getting a bit squirmy through the first Tegna. And this is going to be really interesting now. I think Jardier is starting to get under pressure. You know, guys saying he's struggling with 28s, high 28s for his tyre pressures. You don't really want that, especially going further into this race. So Jardier is struggling on tyres, we know that. And, you know, I think Darren King, I think he could feel it. Even if he doesn't know it, even if, you know, he's not being told Jardier's struggling on tyres, I think he can feel it. And I think he knows that this position is up for grabs.
Yeah, I mean, racing drivers know, don't they? I mean, you can attest to it too, Ryan, where you're in a race and you see somebody in front of you who, you know is a good driver, but it is just off the pace. There's something odd about their car, and you can kind of diagnose it yourself. It's a bit like being a shark and smelling blood in the water. Like, you just know that there's something nearby, and racing drivers are very similar in that way. Darren, who is a massive competitor, he will know that there's just not something's just not right about that Porsche, even if he doesn't know it all. But I have seen Darren King, just like you did there, a little bit of a wiggle in some of these corners where maybe he's struggling just a little bit. Darren King, will he try to go to the inside here? He's going to take a look. Nope, ducks back in, says, nope, not going to try it there. Too risky. Don't want to try anything. Gets it right back in line. Why do you think Jardier's tire pressures were set as high as they were? Did he see the 18 degrees centigrade and just overestimate how much pressure he would need?
I personally think it's just been a misjudgment. I think that, I mean, we know how busy Jardier is doing as many races as he does. He barely gets time to practice at all. In fact, I'm pretty sure he doesn't practice. His practice is usually the practice session that he joins before qualifying. And, you know, I kind of get the feeling that maybe he didn't know that the race was going to be taking place at 7 in the evening. And, of course, that can play hell with you, especially if, you know, he comes in, it's 7 in the evening, it's 19 degrees, and he's thinking, damn it, you know, I don't know exactly where my pressures need to be for the race, and that's entirely possible, and it could be that Darren King has had some time to do practice earlier in the week, and he's known that it's going to be starting at 7 p.m. for race time, so he's already got the pressures adjusted, he's already got them dialed in, he knows what he needs to have. And that could very well be the case for Jardier. It's just a bit of a misjudgment as Darren King gets all out of shape.
Speak of the devil.
In the middle of Spoon.
I'm amazed he didn't lose more time like that. He was very quick to save that car. He probably, at the end of the straightaway, it'll be like nothing ever happened. That's a veteran move right there. But yeah, some of you probably wondering, like, well, why wouldn't Jardier know what time the race was? Why wouldn't he look up in that? Because Jardier, the simple answer is, because Jardier races a ton, a metric ton. He's racing all the time. Yeah, all sorts of championships. You know, just every single one of them, he wants to be in it and he wants to race. So he knows when the race time is. He just doesn't know when the race time is some of the time. And
same time.
Exactly. And whenever you're making 100 different setups for 100 different races, it can be difficult sometimes to judge. But look at it this way. He's out here. He's still in second place. He's holding off Darren King. He's winning the championship, even with his tires potentially graining themselves to death. That's just fantastic stuff, and that's why he's such a good competitor. He's a great guy. I have actually a funny Jardier story. I once asked him how he's so fast in racing, and I believe he told me something to the effect of, it's because I'm so handsome, and he sent me a selfie of him making his chin appear like he had 5 chins. So, on top of him being good at sim racing, he also has a sense of humor, and he also has 5 chins.
Facts you did not know about Jardier explained here live by Jesse Lee, as we have just under 27 minutes to go. And I tell you what, if Jardier is struggling with his tyres, the further this race goes, the worse those tyres are going to get. And I get the feeling that when we come to about the last 10 minutes of this race, Jardier is really going to be feeling the effects of those high pressures. And it's going to be interesting to see how the others can capitalise on this. Tinker van der Velde is the other championship protagonist. He's in 4th place, not where he needs to be right now. But he has got a bit of a gap to Martin Lawrence behind, and Samuel Ratz... Where has Samuel Ratz disappeared to?
He pitted when we were talking about Jardier's face. He pitted. He's come in. It was a routine stop. Nothing out of the ordinary. Samuel Ratz dropped right down the order. Actually, no. Something has happened to Samuel Ratz. So Samuel Ratz came in. His placard turned green. I believe he came out of the track as Darren King. Tokyo drifts down into the entry. That is getting everything out of your pit entry. That's incredible stuff. This replay brought to you by Tokyo Drift. Look at that. At the last possible second, clears the bollards and gets it down to 50K at the board. That is getting your money's worth out of the limiter.
Oh, I mean, I've seen some super impressive saves in the last few races I've commentated on, and that is going to be up there. I mean, I saw Ismail Lebrec, have an incredible save, and he had to take his car into the pit lane, and that's going to be up there. One of them, whether he was intending to go into the pit lane or not this lap, I don't think we'll know unless we ask Darren King. But either way...
I think he was. He just came in, as they say, a little hot.
Oh, just a bit. And of course that allows him to, give himself a moment to compose himself. And one of the big things here is that he is still going to be ahead of Joe McCauley.
Yeah, indeed, he certainly will be. Yeah, I don't know. We don't know what happened to Samuel Ratz. I do know he did voluntarily come into pit road and he cleared his mandatory stop, and then after that, he was behind McCauley, and then he just completely, that's the last time I saw it, and he dropped off of the board. Now, whether he actually exited the pits or not, I don't know, but he certainly cleared his pit stop. So he at least came in and sat there in the pit road to do that, and then something else happened after that. Unknown if he actually came back out or not, but either way, no longer on the track at this time. So that's going to be unfortunate retirement for Samuel Ratz. He will do no better in the championship, which leaves him susceptible to the people around him taking his positions away. Certainly will be the case. There'll be a lot to sift through at the end of this race. As we watch Bart Matcha here. This is Jansen in front of him in the 130 Audi, slowing him up a little bit. The 404, who had a penalty earlier, who cleared it. Just like Ryan was talking about, you can now clear time penalties in pit road, and that has occurred here. Bart Matcha had one of those penalties. That is cleared and finds himself back out on the road, stalking 21st position Jansen. And these are the images as it gets ever darker as night continues to close in around here. Speaking of closing in, look at the big bad Bentley going around the outside of that position. We're going to see that one more time. Yeah, it looks a little less eventful in that case. It doesn't look as
bad on the outside, does it?
We saw it though, Ryan. Excellent camera work by you. We saw what actually happened there. He closed up on him in a hurry and had to diamond off the corner to make it around. No harm, no foul. These two continue on as, oh my goodness, a little bit of a wiggle out of the Bentley there. Why are so many of the cars unsettled on these sweeping turns, Ryan?
I mean, it's such a difficult track, isn't it? I mean, it's got, like I said with Silverstone, it's very technical. It's got every kind of corner imaginable, hasn't it? And, you set up the car for one part of the track, you hinder the car on another part of the track, and that's just the nature of Suzuka. And, you know, some of these cars struggling in some sectors where others aren't. And I think the Bentley just struggling out of spoon, it seems, and getting right on the back of the Audi through the chicane.
Look how much bigger that Bentley is compared to that Audi.
It is enormous, isn't it? But, I mean, you know, I do keep repeating this this fact whenever I get the chance, because it does astonish people. The Porsche of Christian Veal, which is behind Bart Matcher's 404 Bentley, did you know that the Porsche is actually heavier than the Bentley, Jesse?
Yeah, so I didn't know that. We were doing a race, you and I, at Paul Ricard one weekend, and you mentioned that to me, and I thought you were blowing smoke up my butt, and I had to look it up. You're absolutely right. It absolutely is.
Yeah, so the Porsche, I think I can't remember if it's 5 or 15 kilos. It's one of those two, one of those two numbers. I think 5 is probably the more accurate one, but yeah, the Bentley is lighter than the Porsche, and you know, that is something that plays a massive part in the development of these GT3 cars. Alistair Gillies is in the pit lane. You'll see the little P on his name. He's going to drop down the order now, and I think Bart Matcher, well, he's going to have to get past Janssen fairly soon, or the Porsche of Christian Veal is going to be breezing past him by the looks of it.
Oh my goodness, look at the speed difference there. Bart Matcher is absolutely under fire here. Christian Veal thinking about going down to the inside, doesn't quite get it done, backs off coming through here as they'll come up the back straight here. Almost ran him over coming through 200R, but doesn't quite get the job done in spoon, and now has to have it all done again. 130R, potentially a spot at the end of it before we get to the chicane that it can happen. It won't happen this lap. He goes completely wide. Bart Matcher has to take evasive action almost as they all file back in line. But my goodness, I know that thing weighs less, but just the imposing size of that car would be enough for me to get out of the way. Very big vehicle indeed, or as the kids say, he a big boy. The Boatley is indeed. Christian Veal thinking about going down into turn one, can't quite do it either. Falls back in line. Everybody kind of minding their own business for the majority of this race. Only had a couple of penalty reports, and those were fairly commodious as they stand. So everybody just sort of minding the business. There's been a lot of
Christian Veal's not minding his business, though. He's going to make a move on the likes of Bart Matcher around the outside of the S's.
Is Bart giving it up? I don't think Bart gave that up. I just think that was brute force there by Veal that just made that happen, because it looked like Matcher still wanted to get right beside him. We're going to see that again. He's going to be held up by the car in front of him. That's indeed what happens here. He's going to fake to the left, go back to the right. He's still being held up by the Audi in front of him, and all that's going to do is help Christian Veal. Oh, a little bit of a wiggle, too, now that I notice that. A little bit of a wiggle out of the big bad B, and all that does is help him get by. But look right here, Bart really trying to get back to the throttle. Can't do it on the inside. Pass done by Christian Veal, and now maybe Christian Veal can open up the door for Matcher to get by Janssen. Oh, wait, no, they're fighting each other still.
Bart Matcher's not given up on this one just yet, though. And actually,
wait,
I think they've both
passed.
I think they've both passed Janssen, and now they're going at each other. This is incredible.
Oh my goodness. People wonder, why not ballet? Why not, musical theater? Because motor racing's better. It just is. Look at this. Look at what we're doing here. This is awesome. But yeah, they indeed did get by Janssen. Janssen now back the road quite a piece. You could really see at this point how much faster both of these guys were. And I suspect Veal was compromised a bit by the pass, and that let Matcher get right back up behind him. And of course, I would suspect Veal would just drive away here, but that hasn't occurred yet. But, there's always next lap. You know what I didn't do at halftime? Something I usually do. Ladies and gentlemen, if you have enjoyed this series, if you enjoyed the race, if you like motor racing in general, why not subscribe to RCI TV? We're streaming more days than not around here, and we would like you to be notified for every time we go live. More fantastic racing in ACC. It's always a show when these drivers are on the track. Go ahead and subscribe and hit that like button and make sure you're notified for all the races that we're doing. Ryan, at the end of this race, he will no doubt update you on all the events coming up on the calendar, and they are numerous. And we thank you for watching today and hope that you've enjoyed the race so far. 17 minutes to go. Season finale in the Pro ICGT Championship here at Suzuka, and it has been a fantastic race thus far.
Jardier's last few laps have been in the 2:01s. Tinko van der Velde's have been in the 2-minute range. So Tinko van der Velde is lapping quicker than Jaroslav Honzik. He's closing the gap. I told you, Jardier's going to start to feel those tyres a lot more towards the end of the race. And, I mean, this is kind of the point, isn't it, for Tinko van der Velde? He can see his championship rival ahead of him. He knows that he needs to finish ahead of him. He knows that Jardier needs to finish behind more people than just himself. But of course, if he's going to have any hope of winning this championship, his first task at hand has to be getting past that Porsche, and it's within his sights now.
Yes, indeed. This is the thing. That is how a racing driver thinks. If you can see the guy in front of you, that makes you think you can pass him. In this case, Mr. van der Velde, that is correct thinking. You're running him down. He knows he's got his timing up. He knows that he's running him down. He knows Jardier is struggling, and like Ryan said, the first step, get by him, then gap him and hope that some of the guys behind him can also get by him, such as Darren King and McCauley. That's all it would take. If Darren King and McCauley can also get by Jardier and van der Velde himself can get by him on the road here, that will be all she wrote in this championship. I'm pretty sure that will be done. And if it isn't done, that might be a tie, which would go the way of Jardier because Jardier has more wins, I believe, than van der Velde has in this championship. So that is just the kind of thing we are dealing with here. Your leaders in the championship running 2 and 3, 2 seconds off of each other. You can see them in the same picture there, in fact.
Oh, drive-through penalty for Darren King. Track limits.
Darren King getting that drive-through penalty might just be the nail in the coffin that wins Jardier this championship.
Oh, I wouldn't be so sure because Martin Lawrence is still close with Tinko van der Velde, and Martin Lawrence is being dragged along with Tinko van der Velde.
Oh my gosh!
This could all still go through. Darren King, obviously that's going to be massive for Darren King because obviously this puts Joe McCauley effectively in front of him. There is still enough people that could finish ahead of Jardier if Tinko van der Velde can finish ahead. The championship is still on for van der Velde. That drive-through penalty for Darren King has not thrown it out of the way. It has made it more difficult, but it's definitely still alive. And 1.5 seconds now. But of course, Tinko van der Velde, it's one thing to catch Jardier, it's another thing to get past him.
Ladies and gentlemen, in the booth here, I have my little calculator I always bring in here just in case I need to do quick math. You see, because I'm not very good at math, and I like to assist myself via calculatory computation. So it has just exploded based on what happened to Darren King. Again, step one for van der Velde, still get around Jardier. That is still your first thing. And then do all that you can do to get in a position to win this thing out. You're not missing anything up front, by the way. Zier Essa, the pride of South Africa, and that number 71 Porsche, well, he's gone. 18 seconds the gap between him and second place Jardier. The fight for second place and the fight for the championship win is on right now, as Joe McCauley, who is going to play a role in this, is in 10th place. He has Darren King in front of him. This means that McCauley was able to run down Darren King. Darren King has to come in to serve that drive-through. He is going to do this time, and that's going to promote McCauley up to 9th place, which also means that he didn't have to sit behind him and lose time. Why is that important? Because McCauley was faster than Jardier earlier before he pitted. So all of these drivers could end up in front of Jardier when Jardier pits. If van der Velde can get around Jardier and not be held up anymore, will McCauley come out in front of van der Velde? My calculation says yes, that McCauley will be in front of van der Velde right now, but
Jesse,
I don't know.
This is going to go down to the wire, I get the feeling. I don't
know.
I don't think we're gonna know the answer until it's shoved right in front of our faces as to what the situation is going to be. What we do know is that as it stands, if they finish as they are, Tinker van der Velde will not be winning the championship. It will be Jaroslav Honzik. But of course, all that could change in the next 12 minutes of the race. Tinker van der Velde, he's closed down.
Oh, he's going for it. He's thinking about it. He's thinking about going into 130R, has to pull back in line, thought it was a bit too risky and got back in it. If I'm Jardier, what do you do? Do you pit here? I don't think so. I think your only shot is to stay out as long as possible. By the way, Tom Roberts in chat, one of our lovely race directors and admins, Van der Velde is coming into pit road at this time. He's going to get that thing loaded up to 50K and just about does it. As he comes in, he's the first to blink. That might be a championship winning move. We'll be able to tell in 11.5 minutes time. But like I was saying, Tom Roberts asked me what my calculator's name is. It's actually just a standard Texas Instruments. It's not even a scientific calculator. It's just your basic sort of affair. But I've had this calculator for a very long time, and I feel like every time I come to an RCI race, it explodes a little bit. But, I'll just put that on my expense report. Ladies and gentlemen, the championship is afoot here. Tinko van der Velde coming out of pit road. Joe McCauley, who I suspected might come out in front of him, and just will do. Yes! I can't believe my math was correct. McCauley up the road here into turn 2. That means that no matter what, Tinko van der Velde has to get around Joe McCauley here, because that is the race that those positions are very imperative and may be important. It may be necessary to get the necessary points to beat Jardier if Jardier continues to hemorrhage time. But like Ryan said, we're not going to know who's going to win this for some time.
I get the feeling that Jardier is going to be behind Tinko van der Velde after the pit stops. He's going so slow. He was losing a second a lap just on the previous lap to Tinko van der Velde, and of course now he's being hunted down by Martin Lawrence in the Mercedes. He's still losing so much time, Jardier.
And where did Martin Lawrence come from? He had that off track earlier, and he was just sort of in no man's land in like 6th place, and now we're talking about him potentially stealing a podium position.
This is going to be so close coming towards the end. What is Jardier going to do? Less than 10 minutes left of the race. Is Jardier going to peel off into the pit lane? Yes, he is, and he's going to be followed in by Martin Lawrence. And this is going to be so interesting now. It all comes down to Joe McCauley, Tinko van der Velde, Mikael Sundstrom goes into the pit lane as well. We'll keep our eyes on these guys at the moment. What's going to happen in the pit stops? Of course, they only have to take 1 litre of fuel. That is the minimum requirement here. Martin Lawrence stops in the pit lane, and he's just taking a litre. Just a brief little stop there, but he's going to jump Jardier in the pit lane.
I don't know if Jardier put on tires or what, something to help his ailing car, maybe something to help him go on to the max attack. Here comes Joe McCauley. McCauley has got around the GTR, but not van der Velde. As they all come out of pit road, they've all jumped him. Tinko van der Velde is in front of his championship rivals Jardier. Jardier with work to do. He has to get around this lap car. Actually, I take that back. That is not a lap car. Lubomir Zeman is in 7th position. He still has to pit, but all of these positions are important. Jardier is going to be, oh my goodness, it's hard to tell because the timing and scoring it's going to be 8th, I think, is where Jardier is right now. Van der Velde up to 6th position. He has work to do. Being stuck behind the 21, that is allowing McCauley to get away from him. In my mind, on my ledger here, Van der Velde now has to get around that green Aston Martin of McCauley. Otherwise, championship still goes to Jardier.
Yep, so you called it exactly right. As it stands, if they finish in the order they are right now, Jardier is still champion by 4 points in this championship. It's going to be so close. Tinko van der Velde, he needs to get past Joe McCauley. He needs to get past Lubomir Zeman, actually, who's just in front of him in the Nissan. It's holding him up, and it's bringing Martin Lawrence into play. And this is going to be so close now. And the Nissan, I mean, Tinker van der Velde is willing that Nissan on. Get a move on the straights. Let me pass. Let me go.
Oh, he's going to go down the inside here, 130R. He's not going to he's going to get chopped off there. Lubomir Zeman, who does not care about the championship battle. He's trying to battle for his points positions and take home his boatload of points today. And of course, Lubomir Zeman still has to pit. Is he going to come in? He certainly angled the car like he was going to pit. Did not actually, as he's going to stay out again. Van der Velde is going to be cursing in several different languages in the cockpit of that Audi.
Yeah, Tinker van der Velde, it's not going his way. He's got ahead of Jardier. He's done everything he's needed to do, and now there's a Nissan in front of him that he can't seem to find a way past. And surely this isn't going to be the end of his championship fight, is it? Surely not. Stuck behind the Nissan, he can see Joe McCauley disappearing into the distance. Obviously, Valentin Barrier and Zeman still to do a pit stop, as is Zahir Esser. But Zahir Esser, barring a disaster, has this race locked down. It's all going to come down to the podium places for the end of this race. Just over 6 minutes left on the clock. As it stands, Jardier is champion, but Tinko van der Velde still has time to do something about that.
Yes, he does. Tinko van der Velde running out of laps, running out of time, running out of points, running out of positions and patience here tonight at Suzuka. Just trying to get that position. And now, of course, like you said, Ryan, he's having to defend from Martin Lawrence behind him. As Jardier lingering in the background, powerless, helpless, can't do anything about it. But I can tell you something else that will help van der Velde out if Rochelle, who has a 5-second penalty, can get around Jardier and gap him a little bit. That might be helpful to van der Velde at this time. I don't think anybody else is going to catch up to Jardier, but what if Barrier or Lubomir Zeman comes out of pit road in between these guys as this gap continues to widen? This is not over with yet.
No, it's definitely not, and I mean, who would have thought that it would come down this close? We're not entirely sure what's going to happen. It looks like it's going Jardier's way. Tinko van der Velde, he's so close, and he's wishing that Nissan will pull in. Martin Lawrence in the background is going to go wide. That's going to give Tinko van der Velde some breathing room. Jardier will look to get onto the back of Martin Lawrence. And now Tinko van der Velde, he's lost the pressure from behind. He has to go eyes forward on that Nissan. Get past right now. You have to do it this lap if the Nissan doesn't come in. This has to be surely one of the last chances he's going to have.
I can tell you one thing, van der Velde is going to have some sharp words for Zeman in the driver's room after this race. Hey, you had a pit stop to do. Why were you holding me up? I'm fighting for a championship. This is exactly why we race, because we don't know what's going to happen. And if those of you that were with us at the top of the show wondered why I couldn't pick a winner, this, literally all season, this, and it just makes it impossible to call. That's another big moment, a big moment from Lawrence. Lawrence has absolutely ditched it in the Degners, and it's going to promote Jardier up to 6th place. Absolute bin job. Here we see Martin Lawrence in the Mercedes as he's going to come down into Degner and absolutely bin the car.
You're going to see coming into the first Degner. Whoa, just getting all out of shape. And of course, that handing the position to Jardier.
I just don't know anymore. I don't know what I can say. I don't know what to do.
You're not the only one, Jesse. We're all lost for words. Martin Lawrence has got back past Jardier, by the way. In amongst all that, he's got back past him. In fact,
that
no,
didn't
he
help.
hasn't.
I still don't know.
No, he hasn't. Joseph Onzig's just got back past Martin Lawrence.
Oh, dear Lord. I'm going to have heart
it's all
palpitations.
going to pieces. Barrier is in the pit lane. And the Nissan finally pulls out of the way for Tinko van der Velde. And now
there's going to be harsh
released.
Words. There's going to be absolutely harsh words there from van der Velde.
Though. Clarification.
Yeah.
Zeman is well within his right to stay in front and defend, because they are for position.
Racing-wise, he did nothing wrong. Vandervelde, he stabbed his dog. That's basically how he feels right now. Did he really do anything wrong? No, but he stabbed his dog. He kicked his dog. You can't kick another man's dog, and that's what happened here today. Metaphorically speaking, of course, Zeman would never kick an animal. I'm saying that that's what Vandervelde feels like happened to him for those past 4 or 5 laps. It's completely fair. Brian, you're absolutely right. It's completely fair. He did nothing wrong. He can stay in that position. He's fighting for position, and by holding up Vandervelde is a strategy.
Okay.
That is his strategy, so that's fine.
I have a scenario for you here, Jesse.
Oh, here we go.
Tinker Vandervelde sits third.
Okay.
For Tinker Vandervelde to win the championship, Jaroslav Honzik needs to finish 6th.
Yeah.
He has Lawrence and Frushel right behind him. Frushel has a 5-second time penalty. Obviously, that's going to be added on to the end of his race time. We have just under 2 minutes, or a minute and a half even, to go of this race. Surely it's going to go Jardier's way. But you never know what could happen on the final lap of the race. Zahir Esser is going to start the final lap of the race. These guys are on their penultimate lap. They know that the last lap of the race is the next lap. And Jardier, he can't afford to relax. He can't just let Lawrence and Frushel through and then cruise to the finish line. He can't do that.
I would like to interject a counterpoint. Martin Lawrence, who has went wide 4 or 5 times today, gets accidentally into the back of Jardier, lets 2 or 3 cars through, and Vandervelde wins.
It could happen. It could so easily happen. We've seen it happen before.
Yes, we have.
Lawrence isn't going to sit down for this.
Lawrence going to the outside, can't quite do it. He's going to get right up into the back of Jardier. Has to back off ever so slightly to get around. Last lap. These guys are on the last lap of the race as they go up to the S's for the final time. 2 cars behind Jardier. This is the difference between winning a championship and losing it. If that teal Porsche in front ends up at the back of this convoy, that is championship over and a loss. Half of a lap, actually I should say 3/4 of a lap to win it here today for Jardier. He has to hold strong in his car that isn't driving the best.
Jardier, this is it. He has just about half a lap to go and he will be crowned champion. It's going to be so close. What is going to happen? Is Martin Lawrence, is he going to go for a dive? Surely not at this late in the race. But he might just do it, We never know what's going to be going through the heads of these drivers. But one thing I do know for fact, Jesse Lee, it's been a fantastic race for our race leader, Zahir Esser. He has dominated in this race. He won in the Pro Series at ATK here at Suzuka not long ago. And he's going to take an incredibly dominant race. The South African all the way over in Japan is going to win the final race of the season here at RCI for the Intercontinental Sprint Championship. Flashing his lights in joy. And you can see how much it means to him. But going back to here, Joe McCauley and Tinker Vandervelde should round out the podium. We come to the chicane for the final time.
Oh, thought for a second that there was going to be a bit of a touch for first shell on Lawrence there.
But
not going to do anything. Jardier is going to come across the line, and he is going to do the unthinkable. He survived the gauntlet today. Winner of 2 races this year. Jardier is your championship winner of the ICGT Championship Pro Split. Excellent job to hang on to that win there today, and congratulations again to our winner of the race. South Africa's on Essa, who absolutely deserves it. Take that back home to ZA with you, my son, and congratulations to Jardier, a man who was on the back foot all day, defending, and that sometimes, especially in today's case, that is what a championship looks like. That's what a champion is made of. Excellent job, and look at the camaraderie and the respect from the two. Oh, a bit of a touch. Didn't realize he's gonna come. Oh, some more pumps. That is not hateful. Just so we're clear. Oh, McCauley goes in there with a takedown, a rock bottom, and
It's the end of the season. I think everyone Everyone's just having a bit of bumper cars now.
Yes, they're not angry. I want to make this very clear. That is happy bumping, not angry bumping. It is championship-ending lunacy. Everybody
guys...
going after each other. Oh, my God! And a choke slam off the top rope. Somebody get in there and stop this. Congratulations, Zairessa. Congratulations to Jardier on your championship. Macaulay, of course, does end up coming all the way back to finish second. Vandervelde doesn't get the championship, will finish second, but does get a podium added on to his record today.
5 points.
Final thoughts. 5 points the gap.
5 points between them in the championship. And you know what I think, Jesse?
Yep.
First thing that comes to my mind, Bathurst. That's where Vandervelde lost it. And this is what we mean. You can't have a bad race.
Nope.
In these short championships, you cannot have a bad race, and that's what makes it so close.
Vandervelde, who was leading the race on the first lap of Bathurst, put it in the wall, was playing catch-up, hit the wall subsequently again in the race, took him out of the running in that race, and could be the potential championship losing moment. But you know what they say, the thrill of victory, the agony of defeat. We've certainly seen that. Once again, on behalf of everybody here at RCI, I just want to thank you guys for being with us for this 5-round ICGT championship. This was the pro split of that championship, won by Jardier. He's now won 2 RCI championships in the span of 5 days. That is fantastic stuff. Ryan, final thoughts?
Well, it's been an absolutely incredible championship. I've had the absolute pleasure of having Jesse Lee and Random Callsign joining me for a couple of the races here. And I have to say, I cannot wait for the next Friday championship. The Endurance Championship that we're going to be running, 2-hour races. It's going to be so good. And that's going to be starting in September. And I really cannot wait for that. Great selection of tracks, driver swaps, and the like. It's going to be so enjoyable. But if you've all enjoyed what you've seen today, you might be thinking to yourself, you got anything else lined up for us? Of course we do. We always have something lined up, don't we here, Jesse?
Reach into the bag, Ryan, and tell me what's coming up.
Ginettas at Zolder.
Ooh.
So that's the weekend event we have going on right now. Sunday at, I think it's 6 BST, 1800. We should have the Zolders, the Ginettas taking to Zolder. And that's going to be incredibly exciting. 60-minute race, all Ginettas at Zolder. Tightest track on the calendar that we have here in ACC. And that's going to be so exciting to see. We also have, funny enough, a Japan Cup event coming soon. Would you like to guess where that's taking place, Jesse?
Is that at Suzuka?
It is at Suzuka. And would you like to take a guess as to what cars will be available for selection?
Are they only Japanese manufacturers?
Oh, bingo. Yep, so we have a Japan
Lovely.
Cup event coming. It'll be coming at some point during September. We haven't got a finalised date for it just yet, but it will definitely be coming in September. The new Monday Championship was announced. The McLaren Masters Cup. That's starting in 2 weeks' time, by the way, guys, so get yourself signed up for that. Sign-ups go live tonight. And that's going to be incredibly exciting. McLaren 720S and 570S on the same track, same time. 2 separate classes. Going to be absolutely exciting. I cannot wait for that to get underway. And then, of course, next Friday, we'll be right back here at Suzuka on RCI TV for the last round of the championship for the silver class and the rookie class. And I believe you'll be rounding out the championship for the silver class with Paul Jeffrey, won't you, Jesse?
Yeah, I sure will. It will be Paul Jeffrey and myself with, I believe, is Nick Setnick behind the cameras in that one? I don't quite know. That's not Nick Setnick. That's
Boswell.
Jake the Bosmeister Boswell behind the cameras for that one. Sorry, so many championships going on, you get it confused occasionally. But yes, please do see us next Friday if you're not with us sooner. Hopefully we see you Sunday for the conclusion of, like he said, the Silver and the AM. It's going to be fantastic. We expect more of the same.
Yeah, so of course we do have a couple of things. We're going to be entering a bit of a cool down period for a couple of weeks now. Of course, all our championships coming to an end this week or next week. And we'll have a couple of weeks off. And then we'll go and do it all again and start the next round of championships. And I do believe that the Night Owl Championship is going to be starting fairly soon, Jesse Lee. And you're going to be commentating on that alongside Josh Lation.
Oh, yes. Night Owl Championship. We are back. The boys are back in town for that. We got the original crew that ran a Night Owl Championship back in the winter to come back, me included. We're going to be having fun with that. Those races, everybody's invited. It's called Night Owl because most of the world will be asleep by the time those races start. But certainly you have no shortage of European and other drivers in that race anyway. Just turned out to be races later in the day.
Yeah, and of course we do have the 3 hours of the Nürburgring coming up very soon as well. Of course, that race taking place, I think, on the 12th of September. And we do, of course, have our 12 hours of Bathurst taking place on the 17th of October. And I have to say, Jesse, I've seen the names. I've seen the names on the list for the pro split in the 12 hours of Bathurst, and
it is stacked.
I can't say any of them because they're all on lockdown at the moment. You know, they're all top secret.
I've seen that too, and I'm going to tell you guys right now: just take the phone off the hook, put your grandma in bed, just stay up for 12 hours and what? Yeah, just tell your boss you're sick because it is going to be a who's who of sim racing, and it is going to be a fantastic 12 hours, and we hope to see you there. What date is that going down?
17th of October.
17th of October. Mark it down right now on all of your notepads, calendars, and books, because that will be a day that you just want to sit in front of the TV or the computer screen and watch that race. It is going to be fantastic. And no, we are not overhyping it. If anything, we're underhyping it.
Yeah, definitely. So it's going to be absolutely fantastic. But anyway, guys, that's enough stalling from us. Thank you very much for watching tonight. Your support means the world to us. As Jesse said before, do like and subscribe. It really, really does help us out. Your support has been absolutely incredible since the foundation of RCI, and we could not have got this far without all of you behind us. And, well, we look forward to the future together. And the future is looking pretty bright. But from everyone here at RCI, from the stewards, the commentators, the drivers, the admins, and everyone else involved, thank you very much for watching and enjoy the rest of the evening.
When you feel it's hopeless, when you think that you lost, oh, I will take your hand and we'll rise up from the dust. Oh, here we go, 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 let us heal and grow. You won't be alone, we're unstoppable. Don't be afraid to show what we're going for. This is what we know. Here we come back to life, we're still breathing. Standing up, everybody's gonna see it. Oh, all you need to know is that we're holding on. Even if we fall, we will rise up and we follow the path that we believe in. No, we're not gonna stop until we reach it. Oh, all you need to know is that we're holding on. We rise up from the dust and claim our throne. We rise up from the dust and claim our throne. We all have our reasons why we are on this track. Oh, we all have our burdens, yeah, but we just keep on fighting and we never